This is the voice of Turkey. This is the voice of Turkey. This is the Voice of Turkey's English language transmission, broadcasting from Ankara in the 49-meter band between 1930 and 2030 UTC on 6050 kHz to Europe, between 2130 and 2230 UTC in the 31-meter band on 9610 kHz to South Asia and Australia, between 2300 and 0000 UTC in the 49-meter band and on 5960 kHz to Europe, Eastern USA and Canada, and in the 31-meter band on 9660 kHz between 1730 and 1830 UTC to Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan. The Voice of Turkey is also beamed between 0400 and 0500 UTC in the 49-meter band on 6125 kHz to Europe, USA, Eastern Canada and Cuba, between 0400 and 0500 UTC in the 41-meter band on 7240 kHz to Iraq, Syria, Iran and the Arabian Peninsula. You can listen to us over the Turksat 3A and 4A satellites and on the internet at www.trt.net.tr through the Voice of Turkey link. Please note that transmissions broadcast between 2300 and 0000 UTC and between 0400 and 0500 UTC have been pre-recorded. Our email address is englishdesk@trt.net.tr.
Today is Monday, first day of the week, first day of March and first day of the spring in 2021, and this is the Voice of Turkey's English language news. Military coup or crimes against humanity. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan on Sunday spoke against military coups, particularly 1997 postmodern coup by the Turkish Armed Forces. In a video message on the coup's 24th anniversary, Recep Tayyip Erdogan said he was jailed for reading a poem when he was the mayor of Istanbul. Despite all obstacles, I am proudly serving the honorable Turkish nation as its first popularly elected president, he said in the video posted on Twitter. Coups are crimes against humanity. I experienced the February 28, 1997 military coup and had awareness of it. On February 28, 1997, the military was involved in the collapse of the late Prime Minister Necmettin Erbakan's administration amid concerns about the government's alleged Islamist program. Erbakan government was forced to step down following a National Security Council meeting. His welfare party was later outlawed. A new civilian government then took over in a move known as Turkey's postmodern coup. Last December, a prosecutor recommended life sentences for two former generals over the coup. The prosecutor requested that 60 suspects, including İsmail Hakkı Karadayı, then Chief of General Staff, and Çevik Bir, his then deputy, be produced for trial. The case includes a total of 103 suspects. And in a related move, Turkey condemns use of force on civilians in Myanmar. Turkey on Sunday condemned the Myanmar's military junta's disproportionate use of force on peaceful protesters, causing the loss of many civilian lives. We observe with deep concern that the stability in Myanmar is deteriorating after a coup d'etat on 1st of February 2021. The Foreign Ministry said in a press release. We call for the necessary steps to be taken for the restoration of democracy without delay, for the maintenance of peace and stability in the country, and the immediate cessation of violence against the peaceful protesters, the ministry added. Earlier, the UN Human Rights Office also condemned the escalation of violence against anti-coup protesters in Myanmar, and said it has credible information that the use of force in the country left at least 18 people dead and more than 30 others wounded. According to the witness and local media, anti-coup demonstrators were met with tear gas, rubber bullets and stun grenades as police and soldiers intensified a crackdown on a campaign against the recent military coup in the Southeast Asian country. Myanmar has seen large protests since the military declared a state of emergency on February the 1st after detaining Aung San Suu Kyi and senior members of the then-ruling National League for Democracy. And moving on to Middle East, Syrian regime says Israel carried out attack on capital. Syria claimed late Sunday that it repelled a missile attack by Israel on the capital Damascus. Israeli forces carried out an attack on some targets around the capital at 10:16 p.m. local time from the direction of the occupied Golan Heights, according to Sana news agency, which is affiliated with the Bashar al-Assad regime. Immediately, the army defenses intercepted the hostile missiles and shot down a number of them, the news agency reported. Israel has not yet commented on the claim. In Damascus, along with the regime's army, there are also military posts belonging to foreign terrorist groups under the command of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards. Since the beginning of the civil war in Syria in 2011, Israel has launched several attacks on Iran-backed Hezbollah forces and the Syrian military, claiming that rockets are fired on its territory from time to time from Syria and the Golan Heights. And moving on to Europe, France and Germany to tighten COVID-19 measures at border. Cross-border travelers from France to Germany will be required to produce a proof of negative COVID-19 antigen or PCR test taken within the last 48 hours and an electronic declaration of their purpose of visit from March the 2nd, according to new health measures to curb rising cases of virus variants from France's northeastern Moselle region. In negotiations late Sunday, the two countries agreed to amend certain rules and avoid a complete border closure. The French and German authorities have agreed on need to avoid any closure of the border and will continue to discuss in the days to come all possible means of alleviating these restrictions depending on the evolution of the health situation, a statement from the Moselle department said. Clement Beaune, France's Secretary of State for European Affairs, told BFM TV News that the control of these tests will not be carried out at the border point, but randomly in companies to make life as easy as possible for border workers. The border will remain closed for public and private transport companies, affecting regular bus and tram services between Sarre and Moselle. Earlier this week, French officials, in consultation with their German counterparts, had announced new health measures from March the 1st, allowing cross-border workers or residents to present a PCR test result on a weekly basis. For other travelers, entry is permitted with an obligatory PCR test not more than 72 hours old. However, Sunday's decision by Germany's Robert Koch Institute, the government agency and research institute responsible for disease control and prevention, to add Moselle to the virus variant area list, requiring daily PCR testing for its inhabitants crossing the German border from March the 2nd, had not gone down well in France. Similar health controls activated at Germany's border with Austria, Czech Republic and Slovakia had reportedly caused massive traffic chaos. Bern said he regretted the German decision as the strict measures would cause border slowdowns and affect French workers who have to cross the border for work. He added that France was negotiating with its counterparts in Germany as it wishes to avoid the restrictions of daily PCR virus tests for the 16,000 workers from Moselle. They are not crossing for tourism purpose, but for work, and that is a problem. This is what we are negotiating for, he added. Part of a Grand Est region, Moselle department adjoining Germany, a closely interconnected border-basin region, was declared a cluster earlier this month owing to a particularly high number of cases with the UK, South African and Brazil variants. The current incidence rate of infection was 286 weekly cases per 100,000 residents. French health authorities said testing and screening capacities at the Franco-German border have been greatly increased, with more than 60,000 tests performed last week and 30,000 additional vaccine doses sent to Moselle. And finally in the news, Baku warns Armenia against illegal force deployments. Azerbaijan on Sunday warned Armenia not to deploy new troops to its territories. In a foreign ministry statement, Baku said that deploying its forces in internationally recognized territories of Azerbaijan was contradicting the international law and the basic principles of international human rights. The illegal deployment of Armenian troops to the territory of the Republic of Azerbaijan, where Russian peacekeeping forces are currently stationed, is also a gross violation of the joint statement of the leaders of Azerbaijan, Russia and Armenia, dated November 10, 2020, added the statement. Underlining that Armenia's actions would only serve to aggravate the already delicate situation in the region, the ministry demanded Yerevan to put an end to the illegal deployment on Azerbaijani soil. Azerbaijan also calls on the international community to take the necessary measures to put an end to such provocative actions by Armenia. At the same time, it is important that organizations with a mandate to protect human rights strongly condemn the actions of Armenia that grossly violate the human rights and freedoms of the members of its armed forces, the statement said. Relations between the former Soviet republics have been tense since 1991, when the Armenian military occupied Nagorno-Karabakh, also known as Upper Karabakh, a territory recognized as part of Azerbaijan, and 7 adjacent regions. During the 6-week conflict, which ended with a Russian-brokered truce force, Azerbaijan liberated several strategic cities and nearly 300 of its settlements and villages from Armenian occupation. Before this, about 20% of Azerbaijan's territory had been under illegal Armenian occupation for nearly 3 decades. And that was the news in English, brought to you by the Voice of Turkey.